All right, it's live. Welcome, body odor sufferers. Tonight is a new interview. Technically, it's daytime, but it's night for you. We are having an international interview with a woman named Chris. How are you, Chris?
I'm doing great, thanks. Yeah, doing good.
Now, tell me about yourself. How's your week?
Wow, this week has been pretty busy. That's has to do with work, though. I can tell
Mhm.
you a little bit more later if you want, but had to do with work. I work mostly from home, but I had a couple of extra projects this week, so it was quite busy.
How old are you?
I'm 33.
You're 33.
33.
And where are you located?
I'm located in the Netherlands.
Mm.
I moved here when I was 18 years old because I was born on a Caribbean island called Curacao.
Oh, really? So you're originally born in the Caribbean islands, but you moved in the Netherlands. Was
Yeah,
it because of a career choice? A
yeah,
career
yeah,
reason?
yeah. Mostly due to career reasons, to study psychology. At that time, that wasn't possible in Curacao. And most students, when they turn 18 and when they finish high school, they move to the Netherlands because Curacao is part of the Dutch colonies, or
Oh,
used to be part of the Dutch colonies. Let's say it like that. So it's a logical choice for most young people out there from Curacao or Sint Maarten or the Caribbean islands that
oh,
are part of the Dutch colonies. Yeah,
that's very interesting. I didn't know that. So I guess there's just a lot of Caribbean people within the Netherlands.
yeah, a lot. Yeah, yeah, actually a lot from Aruba, Curacao, Bonaire, Sint Maarten, Statia. Yeah.
Mm. What is like the native language in the Netherlands? Is it English?
No, I think English is the second language right now because they teach it at every university, but Dutch is actually the first language.
And you know how to speak Dutch?
Yeah, 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 because we were taught Dutch in school when we were little. So starting
Oh, okay.
from first grade, I think we started with Dutch lessons. So Dutch was our second language back over here.
That's that's
Yeah.
so fascinating because I don't think I ever heard of the island. I heard of Island St. Thomas, but you said it's Curacao. Um,
Curacao.
where is
Yeah.
that? Is that close to like South American countries?
Yeah, it's close to Venezuela, actually. Have you
Mm.
heard of Aruba?
Yes.
Yeah, well, it's close to Aruba. It's a sister
Mm.
island of Aruba.
Now, let me ask you this. So, when is the first time you got a reaction from someone or someone ever made any mention of you having an odor?
Wow, like I believe the first time that I linked it to an odor problem was when I was 18 years old. So I just moved here to Holland, started my studies, and I suddenly started getting symptoms, IBS symptoms. And I was in class one day, and these kids, students, were commenting about a certain odor, and they kept saying, "Oh, who farted," and sniffing and looking around.
Mm.
But I didn't add one and two, together and
Right.
thought it was me. But this started happening a lot. So after a while, I started connecting the dots, and oh no, this is me, and I'm actually able to smell myself. So I
Mm.
was able to smell myself, but not everywhere in the house, but especially outside when wind was blowing in certain direction,
Oh,
and sometimes in the classes in certain rooms. So that's when I started to connect the dots. That yeah,
well,
this
let
is
me ask you
me.
this. So you said when you were in class, people would comment who farted. Was this like
Yeah,
when you were taking classes in a university or something?
yeah, yeah. These were classes in university, and when I started, we started with a lot of students, like big classes, like 500 people in a lecture room. So these were huge lecture rooms. That was not a problem at first. And then we had work groups in smaller rooms with maybe 15, 20 people. And those were the people that were commenting on the odor. So
Mm.
yeah.
Well, well, tell me how the college experience, because I know for me, when I was actually in college or had to be around people in college, it was really hard times. It was
Yeah.
probably one of the most difficult times I ever had when dealing with this condition and dealing with people at the same time. Was your college experience the same, or was it not bad? Or uh,
I think it was, looking back, there were difficult times because people were making comments, and I was determined to finish my studies. So I really, really, really wanted to graduate and keep going to classes. But at a certain point, it all became too much. So what I did was I only attended the obligatory lectures and work groups. I
mhm,
started going to classes at night instead of during the day to avoid the large groups of people.
mhm,
Um, I isolated myself a lot, so I didn't interact with other students. I kept separate and to myself,
right,
unless we had to interact for like a session or a certain group thing. But it was difficult. It was very, very, very difficult because I became very insecure, and
right.
I was very self-conscious about it, and sometimes people would notice it, sometimes they wouldn't notice it. So it
Mhm.
was, I was going back and forth,
Yeah,
actually.
and I do want to ask you, did you have like friends when you were at the Netherlands, and how did they react when all these things were happening? Were they able to detect it? Did they ever hint or just tell you directly, you smell like whatever?
That was the interesting thing because I was living with two friends of mine who moved to the Netherlands as well. They moved from Curacao. They were really, really good friends. And I told them, I'm having these issues with my gut, and I'm hearing people commenting on it. Are you guys able to smell anything? And they just kept denying it. They just kept saying, no, we are not able to smell anything. But I didn't believe them at first,
Hmm.
because one of them, she's a really good friend, and I think that she didn't really want to tell me the truth because
Right.
I saw her reacting constantly. She was sitting like this in front of the television,
Mm,
coughing all of the time, reacting allergically to me. So she didn't really want to admit the truth. But yeah, with time, I do understand why people do that. And I also have come to the conclusion now that when some people tell you that they can't smell you, because I have other friends who I have asked as well, Dutch friends. The
mhm.
Dutch people are really rude.
Oh,
rude, rude in a good way, and also sometimes in a bad way. So in a good way, that they are honest,
right.
which I can appreciate, but sometimes they're really direct. So I have asked my Dutch friends, okay, so I have this problem. Are you able to smell me? And this friend of mine said no. And I've known her now for 13 years, maybe even longer, maybe 15 years. And I've even lived with her, and she has told me that she has never been able to smell me.
Well, let me ask you this, like, since you know this woman, or I think it's a woman, but your friend for a long time,
Yeah.
is that was when you were like on a diet, or even was she able to detect you even
I
when you were
think,
eating things that are like
yeah.
bad for you?
Yeah, I've known her for a long time, and when my symptoms started, I told her about it. Maybe I didn't immediately with her. Maybe I think I waited a couple of years with her because I it was scary to talk to a lot of people. So I waited a couple of years. Then I started to diet, strict diet, the supplements, etc. But we hung out regularly. So we went to restaurants to eat, and we went to the city to shop.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing, nothing. So yeah.
Well, what about your parents, or if you have siblings, have they ever noticed anything or made any comments about you?
No, actually, my parents and my brother, they live in Curacao.
Hmm.
My brother used to be here as well for his studies, but he has moved back, and I've talked to him a lot about it as well. And he's also really honest, brutally honest, but he hasn't been able to detect it. My parents neither, and I believe my parents as well because
Right.
they're honest people.
Right.
And I actually had an incident with my mother one time. We were driving in the car, and then suddenly I smelled this really, really bad odor, like a sewer odor.
Hmm.
And my mom looked at me in shock, and she said, "Is that you? Is that coming from you? Because if it is, I believe you now,
Right.
But then in that moment, I knew that it wasn't me. We were driving
Oh, past
past
symptom.
this place, and I think there was some sewage problem there. But then that convinced me that my mom wants to be honest with me, and
Right.
throughout the years we've talked about this a lot as well. And yeah, she's one of the ones who is not able to detect me, so it's a complicated thing.
Yeah, it is very complicated, and it's talking about your friend and your family. It's like weird how some people can detect it, but others can't. Like,
Yeah.
what is like? What do you think the percentage is of people who can smell you and the people who cannot? If you had to like make up a number.
That number has gone up and down throughout the years. um, I believe that the people who are closest to me, like my friends, my family, those people are not able to detect me. They
Hmm.
might have smelled something, but they have not ever connected it to me. And I think those incidents are really, really low. It's mostly strangers and people like at work or in class. Those people are able.
I want to ask you this. I want to hear your thoughts about this. Do you feel like the more somebody's around you, let's say that initially
Mhm.
they did smell you or they could smell you, do you feel like if you constantly are in contact with them, like this, they won't be able to detect your odor as much? Or maybe it's just like, just
Yeah.
based on people's noses, how some people just has just stronger noses than in general.
Think it's a combination of several factors, like like what you mentioned there. When people are around you, they can get used to a certain smell. That's a possibility. I also believe the odor threshold things. Some people noses are not really able to detect a lot of smells. Like
Right.
smokers, they have a really bad sense of smell.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Interesting.
smokers. There are also people with a condition called anosmia, I believe it's
Can't,
called.
yeah, no sense of smell. Yeah.
They have no sense of smell at all. And then I also believe that people from our family, especially parents, maybe siblings, maybe even other family members, have the same genetic type as we are. If this is
Mhm.
a genetic thing, which in my case it is, I've been tested and it has been proven that it's genetic. But I believe that because they have the same genetic makeup, that might um, cause, or let me put it like this odor threshold thing, or maybe this odor blockage thing, that they're not able to detect it. But the
Mhm.
strange thing is that why am I able to smell myself then, and they're not able to smell me?
Right. Right. And you
Yeah.
say at any time there's wind blowing in your face, you can smell it, or is it every
Yeah.
now and then?
Yeah, my odors, they come and go. So there are certain times during the day that it's worse. Like the mornings are always bad for me, and evenings are bad. It depends on my diet as well. So if I binge, like I've eaten an egg yesterday after a long time, and today I woke up smelling, the sulfury odor.
Mm.
So okay, I know, yeah, that's the egg. So it depends on my diet, hormones as well, and stress level. Like stress has been the worst thing for me ever.
Right.
Whenever I'm stressed, no matter what I do, how many showers I take, how I keep to my diet or supplements, or the things that I know should work for me a little bit, they don't work because stress is like just putting gasoline on a fire.
So you telling
That,
me if you just, even if you stick to a very strict diet, but
yeah,
you become very stressed, you still will have an odor.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow.
It's like instantly. It's quick. It's quick.
It's quick too.
It's quick. The minute I start feeling anxious, stress, my heart starts beating, and then people start reacting, coughing, commenting. I don't always, I make a distinction though between, I believe it's called PATM,
Hmm.
PATM symptoms, like emitting maybe certain allergen without an odor, and TMAU, so having the odor, because I do have times that I don't have an odor, that I just have
Hmm.
ATM. So people are reacting to me, behaving allergically, sneezing, etc. But then they're not commenting on an odor, and they still sit close to me. There are
Hmm.
times that I smell really bad, and that people really distance themselves. So I've had a lot of incidents, like in public transportation, on a train, in a bus, that were horrible. Like
Yeah, public transportation is really bad with
it's
people who have
tough.
this condition. Yeah, I've
It's
experienced that.
really rough.
But
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I definitely want to. I'm curious to ask you, what type of TMAO do you have? Type 1 or type 2?
That's the interesting thing. So I have type 1,
Hmm.
which is the genetic type.
Okay.
A couple of years ago, 2016, I got tested. And what happened was I took both the urine tests as the genetic tests.
Hmm.
The urine test came back negative. My guess is that the choline load was not enough. I didn't eat enough fish. I didn't eat enough eggs, etc., that they can prove those levels in my urine. But the genetic test came back positive, which was a surprise for me because
Hmm.
my symptoms really started when I was 18.
Right.
For that, I didn't really have, maybe I had light symptoms, but really, really light, not
Hmm.
remarkable. But my symptoms started when I was 18. So that that was confusing to me. But what
So,
the doctor said was that the genetic mutation that they found was very rare. They haven't seen that one before, and they weren't sure that that mutation was able to cause symptoms, the symptoms I had.
hmm.
So what they wanted to do is they want to test my parents or my brother to compare the results. But that's a very difficult thing to do because they're located in
Right.
Curacao. And that's very difficult to get, the blood over here. They have very strict rules as well. The test is not available in Curacao, so we haven't been able to do that.
Right.
But for me, that was the proof that, okay, I have the mutation. It might be a rare mutation, but I have all of the symptoms, so I have it.
Right.
And then I also have a half sister who has confirmed she also has the same symptoms. She has been walking around with the symptoms. You've not really been able to talk about it with anyone. So when I told her, she said, "Oh wow, I've had the same symptoms forever, and I didn't know
Wow.
what it was." So
Is she older than you or younger than you?
she's 10 years older.
Mm. And did she ever get tested?
No, it's never gotten tested. No.
I wanted to ask you about the. I know it's very well, unless you have insurance, but
Yeah.
if you don't have insurance, I know in America it's expensive. I remember
Yeah.
talking to some representative in the Monell Center saying it's like at least costs like $700. Was
Yeah.
it an expensive process for you? And I'm assuming you took in the Netherlands.
Yeah, over here it's the same price, I believe, 600, 700. But we do have insurance, so everybody has. It's like obligatory, so you have to have insurance. But then the first, I think it's 385. Back then it was 400, around 400 euros. So like the first 400 euros you have to pay out of your own pocket. But once you go above that amount, whatever costs you have, like hospital costs, testing, etc., your insurance will cover that. So my insurance covered it mostly, but I had to pay the first 385 euros.
Mm. So the urine test is for, because it's like, I think I've heard this. I don't know if you would know this, but I know that you said that you also volunteer for Meebo. So
Yeah.
I would think you have like more insight on that. And I would definitely want to go more into that. But like, because the thing is, I wanted to always make some type of guideline on how to get tested, because I know a lot of people feel like they have TMAU, but they might not really have it. But I don't, I've heard like stories that, in America, they only do like type 1 testing, but I don't know if that's true. I don't know if it's just a rumor.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I'm not really sure about the testing facilities in the US at the moment.
mhm.
I believe that there are only 2 hospitals in the US that were doing this test. I'm not sure which tests they do. I've heard many people say that they've only had the urine test done. And from what I've heard from the doctor here in Holland, he says the best one to take is always the genetic test because it's more reliable. The urine test is not reliable at
Mm.
all. So he does not recommend it at all. So even if you believe that you have TMU type 2, I would still recommend the urine test in combination with the genetic test.
Mm.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, I took the urine test a couple of
Mhm.
years ago, maybe somewhere in 2014, I believe, and it came back negative. So I'm like, wow, if if I don't have that, I don't know what I have,
Yeah,
Um,
that's the problem, because many people have taken these tests. Some people have even taken it like 3 times or 2 times, and the first time it came back negative, second time positive, third time came back negative. So that
mm,
shows that it's really unreliable. So I wouldn't really
mm.
recommend it. If you have to, because it's a costly test, if you have to spend your money, save your money for the genetic test and not the urine test. Yeah.
I also wanted to ask you, okay, you were talking a little bit about your colleague's experience. Um, and once you finished college, like what was your mindset then? Because you knew you had this
Ooh,
condition, but it's like,
yeah.
do I really want to go out in the workforce? Do I want to stay inside? Sometimes when people have to go through so much stress of just being, you know, going to college and stuff, and they finally complete it, like they take a break from life and just staying
Yeah.
inside. Like, what was your,
Yeah.
did you do?
Well, I was going through a roller coaster in all of those years. So I started in 2003 with my studies and I finished 2009. So it took me 6 years. And during my studies, I was very isolated. I didn't really have many friends. I didn't interact a lot with people, but I still went to school when needed, and I still had jobs though. So
Oh,
that was
really?
the only time that I interacted with people, like babysitting, like one-on-one with the kid. It was no problem. I worked at a museum. I actually worked at a postal office. So I had several jobs, but they were really low-key jobs and with not a lot of social interaction.
Oh,
But
okay.
then in the last year of my studies, I had to do this internship. Yeah, psychology, of course. And I really enjoyed it, but it was really, really, really tough on me because public transportation was a mess. So it was
Yeah.
really, really busy. We were in like a cramped space in like these trams. And yeah, the internship in itself was really stressful, and it
Right.
was my last year, and I've given so much of myself that it was the breaking point for me. So I barely managed to graduate, but then
Mm.
I had this burnout, so I couldn't finish my internship. And for some reason, I don't know how, but I still managed to graduate. I still managed to get a good grade, even though I had only 3 months of my internship.
Mm.
But then I had a burnout, so I couldn't do anything. So I went back home to Curacao for 9 months, and I stayed there with my parents and couldn't do anything because I was done.
Yeah.
I had given so much of myself, so much energy, trying all of these diets, pills, supplements, and then focusing on my studies, and it was all too much. So I had to take a break then.
I know you said that you started college in 2003. Like,
Yeah.
at what time did you discovered TMAU, the word TMAU,
Yeah.
or you thought you had
Interesting
TMAU?
question. Yeah, interesting question. Because the symptoms I had then didn't really uh, lead me to think that I have a malodor condition. I only thought it was IBS, because that's the
Hmm.
first thing that the doctor said to me. He said, "Oh, you have IBS." And I had mostly fecal odors. So I believe, okay, it's coming from my gut. So I focused all of my attention on my gut the first years. And I believe it was 2007, maybe. After a couple of years, I was reading on the internet. I was on surfing on this website. I think it was called, I don't remember the name right now, but it was a very popular message board at the time. Uh, Maybe I'll think of it later.
Yahoo message board?
It's an old one. I don't believe a lot of people are on this board anymore. I'll come back to it. But I was on two message boards, like ibsgroup.org and the other one.
CureZone?
CureZone, that's it. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
CureZone, yeah, CureZone. And CureZone had this TMAU group, and a lot of people were writing on there. And I was reading and I say, "Oh, these symptoms, it's kind of like my symptoms, but I don't believe I have that, because it reaches very far, it fills up a room."
Right.
It was like I was in denial, so I didn't really focus on that. So I went to the doctor. I kept telling him about my gut symptoms, got tested for colonoscopy, gastroscopy, all of these gut tests, stomach tests. And then in 2007, I believe, I went to my doctor for the first time, and I told him about it, and he said, "No, it's not possible." He didn't even look into it.
Did he
Testing
did
was
he
not.
react to you, or did you feel like he could smell you?
No, no. It's a funny story, because I've switched from doctors several times, because I had to move a couple of times, and uh, but this I had one doctor that has known me for, I believe it's 10 years, for the longest time. So he knows a lot of my history. And I kept going back to him, telling him I'm having these symptoms, and I don't know what it is, but maybe it's this TMU, maybe it's coming from the gut. I don't know, but help me. And he kept denying it. He said that he didn't believe me. He said, "No, um, maybe you're imagining it. It's not
Wow.
real." And the other issue was that around the same time when my symptoms started, so the 2003, I believe it was 2004, that I decided for myself to seek help from a psychologist.
Right.
So he also had that history, that I was going to psychologists
Oh
and
yeah. So now he
to
thinks.
psychiatrists,
Mhm.
and I was open to those doctors as well about this condition. They weren't able to detect anything, of course. And that's what they told me. I didn't
I don't
always.
understand why that is.
It's so confusing. It's so very confusing.
Like,
And then,
what do you think what is your theory about it? Why doctors
another
cannot
theory
detect
about
odor?
it. With the doctors, I have two theories. I believe that doctors have like this. It's like immunity, they're
Mhm.
immune to certain germs and bacteria, because they've been around so many patients with those symptoms. Maybe they're kind of immune to certain odors as well.
Mhm.
Other people pick up an odor quicker. The doctor's not going to pick it up. And the other thing is, we're only there for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. So it's a very, very short time frame. So,
Mhm. Yeah, because
and
oh, good.
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
All I was gonna say, yeah, I find that so mind-boggling,
Yeah.
puzzling. It's just very strange that that's a thing, and that's a thing that's reported by many people.
Yeah,
And there should be some type of logic behind. There's some reasoning behind it that
yeah,
because obviously, if you go to a doctor and you tell many people go to the doctor and tell them, oh, I have this thing that's happening to me, and then they'll just say, I don't smell anything, or they won't react at all. So then they question their own sanity, and
yeah.
there's that like
That's
problem.
the crazy thing. That's one thing that I kind of explained to my doctor as well. I believe the last time I went to him and actually convinced him to refer me for the test was like 10 years. He has known me for 10 years. I told him, okay, I've done everything you've asked me to do. Because he said, just go on, live on your life. You're young. Don't worry about
Hmm.
this. There's nothing going on. It's in your head. You're already seeking treatment with a psychologist. That should be enough. So I said, I did all of those things, and I'm still having the same symptoms. And you know me. I'm not. I finished my studies. I'm working. I'm functioning, so I'm not, there's nothing
Right.
going on in my head. It's not a mental condition. I've read about this condition called TMAU, and I believe that I have a lot of those symptoms. Just want to rule it out. So I brought him all of the information. I see that there's a testing facility here in the Netherlands, Nijmegen Hospital. Would you refer me to this hospital? So first, I saw that he was a little hesitant, but still he did it. But he referred me to the laboratory in Leiden, where I used to live.
Mm.
And the lab, of course, didn't offer that test. So
Oh,
they
really?
started to inform. They contacted Nijmegen Hospital, and that's when the doctor referred me to Nijmegen. So when
Mm.
the test came back positive, he was actually surprised. So I went back to him, showed him the results, and then say, "Oh, I'm happy for you that now you have the results." And yeah, so I guess something was going on. And then a lot of things started happening in my life. It changed my life completely. Having the test results, because it gave me a sense of acceptance. I know that there's not a cure or anything, but it gave me a sense of, okay, this is what I have, probably uncurable. It's genetic. I have to deal with it. I have to go on with my life now. But it changed my perspective on life. And I enrolled with a patient advocacy group here in Holland called VKS. So this is a group for people with a metabolic condition, especially children, but also adults. And they wanted to interview me for their magazine. So I said, okay,
Mm.
yeah, of course, I'll do that. So I did that. And when they printed out the interview, I went back to my doctor and I showed him that as
Mm.
well. And he said, oh, okay, this is good, but you're totally spinning it around. So I kept going back to him, just
To
showing
prove
him
that you, yeah.
through. And also with a goal of um, educating him that if you get another patient with similar symptoms, don't disregard them. Don't tell them it's just in their head. Now you
Right.
know the pathways. You know that there's a hospital that tests for this condition. Just refer them.
Mm.
I hope it works, but he seems open to it now.
So and you said in 2016, that's when
So,
you got confirmation that you smelled that you had TMAU.
yeah,
Um, so in 2009, that's when you finished college.
yeah. Finished college 2009.
So what happened between 2009 to 2016?
Yeah, my life is crazy. I actually tell
Also, I just
people
wanted to
that.
say this too. I also found out about the body odor messages from CureZone as well. That was like my first uh,
um,
group I went to as well, and that's when I started to realize, oh, there's more people. I'm not the only one dealing with this. But go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah. Curezone was great because it actually gave acknowledgement, that you're not alone. There are more people out there. So yeah. But then, 2009, 2016, a lot has happened. I tell people sometimes, like, this is my third life. I'm living my third
Right.
life in one life because
Yeah.
I've been through so much. Like, I've moved around a lot, sometimes due to this condition, because I had really, really nasty neighbors. People were
Oh,
banging on the walls, who I couldn't sleep. I couldn't rest and feel at ease in my
so
house.
people were harassing you because you had
People
this?
were harassing me. Yeah. I never had anybody come up to my door and tell me to my face, okay, you smell. So I can't confirm that it's because of this condition, but I had one neighbor one time that really was harassing me, kept banging on the walls, and made me feel really uncomfortable. So I moved. And during my studies, I lived. I didn't want any roommates anymore because the first roommates we had, I lost those friends. Actually, we're really good friends, but then they moved away, and we kind of lost touch. And
Right.
that one friend that kept denying, but still goes
Right.
like this every time I see her, we lost touch as well. So I kept moving a lot because I didn't want to have any roommates. And in the Netherlands, you have anti-squat houses, I believe they call them. So these are houses or buildings that are meant for demolition or empty. So they have like these large office buildings with a lot of rooms, and then they rent it out to students. And
Mm,
quite cheap and it's quite luxurious because you get a big room. You don't have a lot of roommates, so I love those. But the only down point was that um, we had to move a lot because when they had to demolish the building, we had only like a month or 2 months to move out. So
right.
that's why I had to move a lot. So between 2009 2016, a lot happened. I moved a lot. I changed jobs a lot. I still wanted to get certain certificates for my psychology, because the next step in psychology here in Holland is when you graduate, then you're a basic psychologist. You can still do treatment and diagnostics, but only under supervision. So
Hmm.
I started doing that with internships.
That
Had
must
to
have been hard.
Yeah, had to work as well. Next to doing the internship, I actually had this one internship that I had to work all day. Like started at 8:30 till 10 o'clock in the evening because we had these group with parents. We had to give them information about ADHD. So that was a really long day. That was terrible for me.
Mm,
I had to eat at work. I had people around me all day. We had meetings in the morning, like 3-hour meetings. So
right.
that was horrible. But I stuck through that because I had this goal in mind again. Um, and then with all of these jobs, some jobs were okay, some jobs were not so okay. So
Hmm.
I had to quit a couple of times because it got too tough. But I had one job, for example, was working as a caretaker for people with disability, and that wasn't so bad. I worked with children with a disability, and I had really nice coworkers. I actually didn't tell them about my symptoms. This one was an exception, I believe. And but they treated me all right. But on the other hand, they were used to weird smells and everything because
Oh, okay. Yeah.
people with a disability, these patients were wearing diapers and poop
Hmm.
and smearing poop on the walls and everything. So
So,
it was
so you're saying the best place to work is at a hospital?
and at a facility where they take care of people with disability.
Hmm.
Yeah, because the colleagues are used to those things, so they're not really going to react to you. And Even if they do, they might believe that it's one of the patients or one of the diapers,
Right.
that's stinking up, so they don't
And,
really
and
care.
another thing is, wait, what was I going to say? I just lost my train of thought. I was going to ask you, yeah, you mentioned that you didn't really tell your coworkers or people that you have it. Do you do that now if you go to job?
Yeah. So the last couple of years, I believe at a couple of the internships, I've told a couple of coworkers. Before I had the diagnosis, TMAO diagnosis, I was telling people, I have IBS, I have gut issues, so sometimes I feel really sick, sometimes I was just calling it gas. So I have a lot of gas, so my apologies, but there's not really a lot that I can do about it.
Mm.
That was okay. So people still treated me okay. And there were some coworkers who, of course, avoided me, but I didn't care about that. But then when I got the diagnosis, I, I did start telling people about it. So I think
Mm.
my last job was also 2016. That was an interesting job. I was working as a social worker at that time. Uh, Very, very, very hectic job. Very, very stressful. We were in a transition period, and lots of responsibilities, lots of meetings. We were having like 3 meetings on one day, and one meeting took like 3 hours because
Mm.
we talk in a room with people all day.
Right.
So I was in the testing period around that time. So I told a couple of my coworkers that, okay, I told you guys about these IBS symptoms I'm having, but now I believe that I have this condition called TMAU. So I'm seeking testing for this. And I believe it was around the same time that a lot of things happened in 1 month, March 2016, that I got the results. My contract was almost up. It was extended you can extend it twice here in Holland. It was extended for the second time. It was very stressful because they kept it till the last minute, and then they told me, okay, we're still going to extend your contract. You're gonna get a full-time contract. I don't know how they call it. You're not a part-time person
Full
anymore.
time
You have a full-time, but
employee.
full-time employee, but um, they can't just fire you. But then that was the same time that I got the diagnosis. There was a lot going on in my personal life, and health-wise, I was not doing well either, because
You were restricting yourself from a lot of food.
yes, I was very strict with my diet as well. Because I had to function at work. So during the weeks, I was not eating any of the trigger foods. I was just keeping to my diet, focused, going to work, which was very stressful. And then I had, next to the IBS symptoms, next to TMU symptoms, I actually have another condition that's called Sjogren's syndrome, which causes a lot of tiredness, pain in the joints, arthritis type symptoms.
Mm.
That was flaring up as well. So I was not able to function at all during weekends. So I was working 3 days a week. That was it. And then the rest of the week and the weekend, I was out. I couldn't do anything, couldn't function.
Mm.
And that was
Is it better now, or is it pretty much the same?
with the condition, with the
Yes.
Sjogren's syndrome,
Mm.
yeah, that's like a permanent thing. Yeah. So I still
And
still having
I think
symptoms.
you also mentioned in the email you said you had some type of condition that makes your skin dry or something dry. Or
Yeah, that's the Sjogren's syndrome. Yeah,
oh,
yeah, it makes your skin very dry. You have like very dry eyes, so I have to use teardrops a lot. Very dry mouth. It also causes, periodontal disease or cavity. So you have to be very, very strict. So I go to the
Wow.
dentist, and the dental hygienist actually 3 times a year to get my teeth cleaned up. So yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, and periodontal disease also causes bad
Yeah,
breath
yeah,
or something like that,
yeah,
halitosis.
yeah, exactly. So I'm on top of that of my teeth. So I know that they're in perfect health. It's actually not my teeth. It's the gum that can be impacted by this condition, Sjogren's syndrome. Yeah.
Hmm. And does that also run in the family, or do you feel like that's genetic as well?
I believe that's genetic. Yeah, because my father and my grandmother had the same condition, so with the teeth.
Hmm.
So yeah, I don't know about the Sjogren's syndrome, but I know about the teeth and losing the teeth, etc. Yeah, yeah.
Well, I want to ask you, since now you do know you have type 1, like what is your diet makeup? And do you use any type of products that can help you reduce it? And yeah, let me just ask you about your diets and the type of products if you use any.
Yeah, well, my diet at the moment is not really as strict as it should be.
Mm,
Um, what I used to do, actually, what I still try to do is I try to avoid lactose as much as possible, gluten as much as possible, because those are the two big triggers for me. And if I do eat gluten, I wait 3 days before I eat it again. Um, it has a chance to get out of my system then.
hmm.
I don't eat whole wheat bread though. I just eat like white bread or crackers, very light stuff. Um, I can't do the whole wheat, so I avoid those. My diet's low in sugar, low in salt, low in spices, because spices are also a trigger.
Oh,
Like
really?
the aromatics, yeah, like the aromatics and um, what's this called? It's like this chemical that's in a lot of herbs I've read. You have histamine and this other one called salicylate, or I
I
don't
don't
know
know.
how you pronounce it, but I really have to watch out with those. And
That
then,
causes you to smell too. Wow.
yeah, that causes me to smell. And it's not only in the food, it's also in the beauty products I've discovered. So it's also in soaps. Also, sulfur is a big one for me.
Right.
So, like all of the meats, etc. But also in beauty products, so like in body washes, I can't have the SLS stuff, the sulfur, uh, sulfate
Mm.
stuff. I avoid that. Um,
That's a
and with
lot of
regard,
things. So you don't eat like chicken and you don't put any like seasoning on it?
I do eat chicken, but not a lot of chicken. I think I have like chicken or meat maybe twice a week at the most. The
Wow.
rest of the week is vegetarian. Now that I'm telling you about it, I believe it still sounds really strict, my
Yeah.
diet. But I think I've gotten so used to it that I've started to add more foods. Because when
Mm.
there are times that I do cheat a little. So when I just want to have some ice cream or a piece of chocolate or a pizza, I do eat it. Whilst in the past, I was so strict with my diet that I didn't even try those. I ate only gluten-free biological foods, but that wasn't healthy. I was so skinny. I had
Right.
so many deficiencies.
And I do want to ask you a little bit about like the bread stuff that you're talking about. You say you stay away from whole wheat and
Yeah,
stuff, and you choose to eat white bread because I thought like all gluten is in all types of breads
it
and all
is.
pasta.
It is. It is. But for me, the white one, so the refined flour, I can digest it easier and still get symptoms, but the odor is not as bad as when I eat whole wheat. Because when I eat whole wheat and I eat lactose, that's when I get the fecal odor. So for me, the odors I've discovered throughout the years that they change, actually. I see it as a spectrum.
Right.
It, like fecal odor being fecal and manure. So like the farm odor being at this side, and then moving a little bit more to this side. Call it like the fecal odors are more acidic odors, according to me, and then moving a little bit towards the middle. I have like rubber, burnt rubber. That's a really strange odor. Cheese. I've had like this really weird, like a bat odor. I don't know how to.
That's like a bat, like Batman.
Yeah, no, not like that, but like, these caves? Like when you go into a cave, you have a lot of bats, and you have this like really penetrating bat urine odor.
Oh, I never went to a bat cave.
Yeah, we have a lot of caves in Curacao, so that's why I know this odor. But then that's one that I started to pick up a while ago. So that's a weird one. I don't know what's causing that. And then more on the other side, like on the high pH side, you have the grassy, um, metal, and fish odor. So I rarely have the fish odor, actually. I believe I've had that one maybe 3 times in all of these years. But
And that's based on the food that you're eating.
it's based on the food. That's what I discovered. Yeah, there's a definite correlation with food. And then also with stress.
Yeah, with
If I
stress.
can do anything right, but when I'm really stressed, doesn't matter. Then I go to the worst odors, like fecal. For me, fecal, it's the hardest one. Manure, vomit, garbage, and do
Wow.
garbage. But then I also have a couple of odors that people have commented on, which is also interesting. So people have told me that, hey, you smell like citrus.
Hmm.
Okay, that's not that bad. You smell like mint.
That's good. Did you
Cigarette?
take any type of mint supplement?
I don't. No, I don't. So I don't know where that came from. I was eating a lot of salads at that time, and I was taking um, this supplement though that's called moringa. It's like a green supplement. So I
Mm.
really would like if you have fecal odor, what I would recommend to people who have fecal odor to try to balance out their pH. So if you can try like calcium, magnesium supplement, or the green juices like chlorophyll, or I took moringa. You can take barley grass. Try that to see if the odor changes.
Mm. That's interesting.
Because that had worked for me. Maybe it would work for somebody else. Yeah.
I know protein is a really big thing for people, or it's hard to get protein. But people have this thing because most of the proteins make you smell bad.
Yeah.
So, but you say you only eat it like chicken 2 days within that week.
Yeah.
And also, I guess you eat egg whites, or what other
No,
protein do you
no
get?
eggs. I try to avoid eggs as much as possible. Um, with regard to protein, I do have beef because I'm deficient in iron. So I do have beef maybe once every 2 weeks. But beef is a big trigger. Um, when I'm not eating meat, I try to go vegetarian, and they have a lot of alternatives now, not only soy based, because soy is also the worst, but they have like these plant based um, alternatives, not only based on beans, because beans are also a trigger, but if I can, I try to have like garbanzo, uh, seaweed, um, or hemp seeds, those
Mm.
types of proteins to, yeah.
Oh, okay. So garbanzo beans has protein. I didn't know that. Because the
Yeah,
thing is,
actually, yeah,
I was trying to find some protein replacements, and I was trying to eat like veggie burgers.
yeah.
But like in the last couple of days working at my job, I'm starting to feel like that's actually making me smell worse. So now I'm like, I don't know if I want to eat it. And I guess it's good for you because you know right when you get outside if you smell good or not. But for me, I can't detect it at all.
Oh, that makes sense.
Um,
Yeah.
but I did want to say, like, do you still, you say you use moringa as one of the supplements? Um, do you try any other supplements?
Oh, over the years, I've tried lots of supplements. I
Yeah.
spent a lot of money on supplements, so not doing that anymore. The thing with supplements was for me that the more I took, the worse my symptoms became. So there was doing something to my body. So for the last couple of years, mm-mm, the if possible, nothing or multivitamin without choline,
Hmm.
and iron supplements. So the doctor has prescribed me iron supplements because I'm deficient in iron. So that's the only ones, those are the only ones that I'm taking. When I do cheat and eat dairy or I have some grains and it's triggering like the fecal odor for me, then I take moringa. And
Mm.
actually, green tea that used to work for a while, but then it stopped working. So don't know what's up with green tea, but I was drinking really strong green tea, and the odor was gone, or it changed it to something more tolerable, so not as invasive. And yeah,
Yeah, that's the thing that's so interesting about. It's not interesting, it's actually terrible, but it's weird and sort of interesting. It's the fact
yeah,
that there's certain supplements that some certain people take and it works for a certain time period and
fine.
then later on just doesn't work anymore.
Working. Yeah,
And
yeah.
that possibly do with like gut biome changing or I don't know,
I have
bacteria changing.
no idea, but it's sometimes it's so confusing. Also with probiotics, I used to take like these drinks, probiotic drinks, Yakult,
Hmm.
and they helped for a little bit. My IBS symptoms went away, and I was feeling better. TMAU symptoms started to lessen as well. But then after 2 years, it stopped working. And it actually worked the other way around. So every time I take probiotics now, like a probiotic supplements, my symptoms will like light up immediately. Like,
Wow.
it, yeah, go to a 10 immediately. So I don't take probiotics. I avoid that at all costs. I don't know why, but I can't have and I've tried several. I've tried several strains, several combinations. It just doesn't work for me. The last one that I've been trying is kombucha drink,
Right.
and that one seems to work. Yeah, I don't get a lot of symptoms, but it has a lot of histamine in it, and I have to watch out with the histamine. So
And let me ask you about the histamine stuff. Is that a thing most people who have TMAO have to avoid or just you specifically?
yeah, that's I don't know. I don't know. I know another lady here in Holland who has similar symptoms, and she also has trouble with histamine and like the herbs, the aromatics as well. But I don't know if it's something specific for TMAO patients. I don't know.
Mm. And I'm glad you actually told me that there's other people because I wanted to ask you a question if there is a good group of people within your
Yeah,
area that actually have that you meet up with or you know or you yeah.
yeah. We have a small group here in Holland, and we're around I know 9 people here with the same symptoms. And
Mhm.
we have regular meetups, and we're actually good friends. So we have an app group, so we can app each other during the week, just share our stories, and we meet up, hang out. So it's quite nice. It's good to have people around who have similar symptoms, and it's interesting because these people, they're working as well. And for example, one of them is works in a hotel. She's maid, and she has told her co-workers that she has these symptoms. And the crazy thing is, which validates our story, is that like half of the co-workers are able to smell her, and the other half has never been able to detect anything. So it's crazy, but
Right.
because she has told these people that, okay, I have this, my body emits certain odors. Some people have actually come up to her and said, yeah, oh my God, we can't be around you because it's so invasive. We can smell you all through the hallway. And other people, like, they say, no, sorry, we can't smell anything. They can be near her and close to her and everything. So,
Yeah, and it actually reminds me of something that I'm actually experiencing a lot. I work as like basically I'm security for theater, and for the
okay.
last couple of days, I there's graduations, high school graduations, whatever. So I
Yeah.
have to check bags and stuff, and a number of women come up to me, and there's certain moments where you can tell like a person is reacting or a woman's reacting to me, but then there's other moments where I can't tell if they can smell me or not because they don't do anything that makes me think that they can smell me. They don't rub their nose or they don't give me like weird looks or I don't hear them say anything when they leave. They just look at me like I'm normal. So it's so odd and I don't know. It's just I don't know. It bothers you like crazy.
Yeah.
Um, um, I don't know. It just bothers you. And I did want to ask you, like, I think you said earlier within this interview that you work from home.
Yeah, yeah. So since 2017, when I stopped with the last job, I went through a period of time of 6 months to figure out what I wanted to do because I still want to work, and I really, really enjoyed working with people, helping people, and started thinking, okay, what can I do? Oh yeah, and then I got the inspiration. Yeah, maybe I can start working from home, and this wonderful opportunity came across my path around the same time, and I got a chance to do a course to get a certificate as a coach for people with chronic illness. So I did that, got that, finished a couple of coaching courses, and started my own coaching practice. So I do that part-time, work as a coach part-time, and I work from home as well as a transcriptionist. So companies send me like meetings that they've recorded, and then I have to type it out and then send it back to them. So it has been quite nice.
Mm-hmm.
What I do miss at times is the interaction
Human
with
interaction.
coworkers. I
Yeah.
really, really miss that because you're really isolated.
Right.
To compensate that, I'm still really active. So I'm doing better actually than I was doing during my studies now because I've reached this place of acceptance and just want to go out, enjoy life. So I still do go out. I do go catch the train, to still use public transportation, catch the bus, catch the train, take flights. When I go back to Curacao, I've been there several times, like 10-hour flight.
Mm-hmm.
One coming up this year at the end of the year. So still do that and, go out, just have fun, go to restaurants, meet up with friends. Yeah.
Do you feel like having a work from home or having some type of job on the internet is like destined for us for people who have this condition because we can't really I mean there's still some people who still can go out but at the same
Yeah.
time it's like I know from my experience it gets really annoying and stressful to the point that you're like I don't know if I can be able to do this for the rest of my life. I don't know how your
Yeah.
friends feel. I know you said in Holland there's at least a number of people that you correspond with,
Yeah.
uh, but it's like it feels as if that's like the only. I don't want to say it's the only viable option, but it's one of the better options in order to keep your sanity. But at the same time, there's a con to it because now you can't interact with people, and isolation
Exactly.
is very there is a lot of negative impacts to being
Yeah,
isolated.
exactly. Yeah, it's a like a good thing for us, the internet, and it's becoming very common. So not only people with our condition, but other people out there, young people who want to travel the world, they're working online. So it's wonderful that it's possible. So it's a great solution for us. But the downside is that it's very isolating because we have a tendency to isolate ourselves. Also, when you have a free time, you're not working, you don't want to socialize. It gets too isolating. So that's the only danger I see with working from home. But with regards to, you know, being able to focus, staying in a peaceful environment, and just doing what you love, and doing what you have to do, because we have to eat as well. We have to pay our bills. So it's a great solution working from home. Well, I believe there are other places as well, depends on the workplace and the co-workers, that can make it possible for you to have a successful career, even with this condition. Know a lot of nurses, know a lot of people with very social jobs, but they tolerate it. They can do it because the coworkers treat them with respect. They take them into consideration. They love their job. So if you can find a job like that, then it's possible, I believe. Yeah.
Hmm. Now, I did want to ask you about like the time you decided to volunteer for Meebo. Um, like what year was that, and what types of things do you do within when you volunteer for them?
Yeah, I believe it was the beginning of last year, 2018, that I reached out to Maria. And I had this idea in my mind for a while now to I wanted to do something back for the community, because you know I knew from my story that I've been through a lot, and I read on the boards. I was on Facebook, in the Facebook groups, Rare Connect, and see a lot of people really in pain, really suffering, not having anybody to talk to. A lot of people, they just read, but they don't really interact with other people. They just stay in the background. They want to seek help, but they don't want to go to a doctor or psychologist because they don't want to get the label, that it's a mental
Right.
condition. So I was really thinking, how can I help? In what way can I help? So of course, through my coaching business, I also offer counseling services. But through Meebo, I really wanted to help and assist with regards to how do you say this? Thinking in Dutch right now, but just sharing the information, like teaching people that it's okay to talk about it. It's okay to have emotional and mental symptoms, and those mental symptoms are not the main reason. They're a result of the symptoms you're having, because it's difficult.
Right.
People get anxious, people get depressed. Um, some people get suicidal as well, which is also a big concern. And just isolating yourself, bottling things up is not a solution. So through Meebo, I try to educate people. That's the word that I was looking for. Try to educate them on certain topics, but I'm not seeing myself as the expert, because I'm also in the same boat. So
Right.
I'm going along, learning a lot as well in conversations with others. So I write articles. We hold these meetings every 2 months. We have these emotional group support meetings, so people can join. It's absolutely free. I don't charge for those. And
When are those? Where are those meetings located? Um,
it's online. So like we're doing now, like with Google Hangouts, it's just online. I used to use Zoom as a platform, but I'm having a lot of issues with Zoom, so I'm
oh,
trying
so do
to
you
make
still do
something.
them?
platform. Yeah, yeah. I actually started this year with those. I started with the first one in March, and then we had the second one two weeks ago in May. So, yeah.
Mm. Maybe I mean at the moment, this is a private chat, but if there's like I don't know, a link or something, is there like a link you're supposed to go to, and then at a specific time you're supposed to go, and then there'll
Yeah,
people be showing up?
yeah. We actually announced those on the Meebo blog, and I also announced
Hello, hello. Uh-oh.
and they can just join in.
Uh,
I try to keep it
there's some type of
not like a
disconnect that just
private
happened.
group, but just ask people to enroll.
Hello, hello.
Yeah, sorry about that. I hope it will be all right because, hello?
Yeah, there was some type of disconnect that just happened. Um,
Yeah, sorry. It's raining really hard over here, and there's also lightning and thunder, so really bad weather. So that might cause the connection to break up at times. So my apologies for that.
okay. Um, so yeah, I guess I wanted to ask you about the meetup groups because you know it would be good to for other people to know when the next group is and stuff. I
Mhm.
don't know, maybe you could like send me an email or something of when the next group is. Maybe I could put it in the chat, not chat, but in the comments. So if people want to meet up or do something
That
at that
would be
time.
great. Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can do that. Yeah, I can send you an email to let you know when the next one's gonna be. But I believe it's gonna be in August, so in 2 months time, August, the end of August.
Also, I wanted to ask you, is it okay if I share your email? So if
Yeah,
somebody wants to
yeah,
contact you,
yeah.
um,
No
okay.
problem. Yeah, yeah. You can share the email. Yeah.
I also want to ask this: is like Meebo the only organization that focuses on like malodor conditions? I would think there would be something like in Europe that does the same thing.
I believe that Meebo is the recognized one internationally. So because it has a U.S. division with Maria and a UK division.
Oh,
Uh,
really?
yeah, yeah. So there are like two Meebo divisions. With regards to other organizations, I don't know any other organizations that do research or advocate for people with a malodor condition. So it's up to
Mm.
us. If other countries want to have such an organization, we have to start it ourselves. We have
Mm.
to do a lot of the work. But it would be good if maybe like there could be like a Meebo division in Europe or a Meebo division in South America or in Africa. It would be great if each continent had like a representative. I believe that
Mm-mm.
would be really good to recruit not only researchers to find funding, but also to work on educating people because that's a big one. Educating doctors, educating psychologists, educating, workers, managers, strangers home. Yeah, it's very important.
Yeah, and I did want to ask you this because I think there's a lot more scientists in Europe looking into
Uh,
malodor conditions and stuff like that. Why do you
yeah,
feel like there's more in Europe as opposed to like in America? You know, and
question. Yeah, I've never thought about that. Why there would be more over here? No, we had a meeting in April this month, last month, no, 2 months ago, actually, sorry,
mm,
in April. And we invited this professor, Dr. Weavers, and it was very interesting because he and his colleagues, they discovered a mutation that causes bad breath in people. And it's kind of similar to TMAU, but
Celine
the symptoms,
BP1.
yeah, 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 that one. But the symptoms are mainly focused on the breath, so it's mainly halitosis coming from the nose, which was mind-boggling that a doctor was saying, okay, it's possible that an odor can come from the nose, not only the mouth, but also the nose. But the characteristic odors are sulfur, cabbage, and it was this last one, rotten egg. So rotten egg odor. Those are the characteristic ones. But it's
Mm,
interesting that besides TMAU, there's now this other condition that is also causing similar symptoms. So they're
right.
discovering more of these. So it's very interesting.
It is very interesting. And you're saying that there was like some video that was recorded about this. Is there a way that I could see this or people can see this?
Uh, so Dr. Reavers actually posted a video on YouTube about this discovery of this gene, how it came about. So you can Google it and you can find it on YouTube, but maybe we can share the link as well. So I can send it to you and then you can share it as well. Yeah. It's also on the Meebo blog, by the
Oh,
way.
yeah, because I know I did I actually read the Meebo blog and saw the video that was within that blog post. Um, but I know you said that you had a discussion with Ron Rever, so I would assume he would go into detail a little bit more, and that would probably be helpful for people who possibly have halitosis with that specific thing happening to them. Um,
Yeah, we're actually working to invite him. So I'm still talking to Dr. Weavers about it too. We actually wanted to invite him for like a conference call, an
mm,
international conference call, that people can sign in, listen in, ask questions. Still working on that. So hopefully we can do this year or next year, because I believe he has such a wealth of information. And it's like one of the rare doctors out there that's actually doing research on this topic.
right.
So he's not the only one, because in the UK there are also a couple of Dr. Lackman. In the US there's another doctor, Dr. Hazen, that's researching this field.
Yeah.
But it's so important that these doctors give the information, because we need it. So we have
Right.
a lot of questions. So it's very important that you do it. So we're really working on that. So I'll keep you guys posted on that as well.
Yeah, and another thing I wanted to say um, was there are some doctors out there that are actually looking into this stuff, but how could you turn on more doctors? Like, where would we have to go to to recruit more doctors to say, hey, look at this weird stuff. Can you look into this and see if you can figure something out? I think Dr. Weber is like a metabologist or something that has to do with metabolic something. So would I just try to like scan through all the doctors in the US who specialize in metabolic something and possibly write an email to them? Like,
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
would be like a good idea to try to gain more attention for scientists or doctors to look into this?
Yeah, that might be a good one, because the metabolic specialists are actually the ones we should contact, because they're the ones who can research, who are the closest ones to this topic, I believe. And then also maybe certain dentists, because there are also specialists who are specialized in halitosis. In Holland and Amsterdam, there's a doctor that specialized in halitosis, so he has a special test for measuring halitosis in the breath. So I believe those groups we could focus on. But if every sufferer could have, like, if we could have like these printouts, folders, or some type of information that's really approachable, that we can hand out to people, that they can take this to their doctor or to their doctor's office and leave it there, so other people can read it. Maybe that might be a start already.
Mm. How will we be able to do that? I guess we need a graphic designer
We
and
need a graphic designer. Yeah,
we
yeah.
need to
And I
comprise.
believe that's why I'm so excited about these times, because I've had these symptoms now for, it's all 2003, so 16 years. In 16 years, there a lot has happened. Like the internet has opened the world. We've met a lot of other sufferers. We have like 3 major groups right now. The Facebook groups, Rare Connect is a big group. There are other groups out there, Yahoo. But within the groups, there are people, starting lots of initiatives like um, gathering funds, raising awareness.
Hmm.
What you're doing is also wonderful. Interviewing people. People are coming out on YouTube.
Right.
Telling their stories. That's like huge. They're breaking the silence, so it's so important. So it's initiatives like these that can make a difference. And I believe within the group there must be like a graphic designer out there. There must be somebody who's good with these types of programs, who wants to help us to make a folder, or a card, a post, or anything. So
PDF, right?
a PDF, yeah, yeah. And then if every sufferer could print that out and just start spreading the information, don't if you want to stay anonymous, no problem. People don't have to know it's you. Hand it out to a family member, let them spread it out. If you don't dare, but just we have to let the information go. We have to let people know that this exists. And yeah, it's
I,
very important. Yeah.
another thing I wanted to do is because the reason why I was asking that is because I did want to bring on a lot of the people who are specialists, or the few people who know about these things. So, like you mentioned, Dr. Hazen, Dr. Reaver. I actually wanted to get Dr. Preddy first. Um,
Yeah,
but
good one as well.
I think it's very, I don't know how difficult it is to actually get them on, because I know if we do get them on, like they're going to break it down a lot easier, and I could
It's
possibly like you know more people will be informed.
yeah,
But a thing I did want to say, well, the reason why I said that is I wanted to know if you did have like information on some of these, like their emails, the way to contact them, because that would be great if I could like try to get those
yeah,
emails and possibly at least shoot something out, and maybe something will happen. I don't know.
yeah. Well, I don't have the contact information from the US doctor, or the UK doctor, but I can inform. I can ask Maria, or the other members if they have that information. Um, with regard to Dr. Weavers, I do have his contact information, so I can pass that on to you as well if you want to do the interview. Maybe you can convince him to do the interview.
Yeah, I'll try. Just like I was going to try to get Maria, but TMAU already did a great podcast with Maria in
Yeah,
2017. So it felt like it would sort of be pointless. Like I don't think there'll be a mass amount of information that you're going to uncover within 2 years. So I didn't think it was
yeah.
necessary to do it again.
Yeah, you never know. And I know Maria. It wouldn't be a problem for her to do another interview. She's always up to it for it. So you can always email her. You can always email me and the other members as well. So yeah, it's for a good cause. It's very important. So
I also wanted to ask you. I mean, because I guess this is probably something you probably wouldn't know either. But I know, like in 2017, like they finally researched a paper for PATM, but it was in Japan. And
yeah,
I'm just thinking, since I was like, I guess technically we're a little bit brainstorming here of different ways to bring awareness or to get people on. Like, what type of doctors would you have to go to try to convince them to look into PATM? Would that also be like metabolic specialists or?
yeah. PATM, that's another story. It's a very different story than TMU. It's a complex condition, but that paper, that was also a breakthrough. That was a very important research. I don't remember what kind of specialists those people were, those scientists in Japan, those doctors. But I believe because it's also related to chemicals, that maybe metabolic specialists are the best ones to do research on this topic. And they also have the equipment because they have these what's it called? It's a I think it's called something like chromatography or something like that. I
Mm,
don't know what it's called exactly, but it measures all of these chemicals,
right.
and they can also research like enzyme function and DNA function, DNA mutations. So maybe that's where we have to go. Yeah.
Hmm.
And I know in Nijmegen, in the Netherlands, they have the tree test available right now for people with a malodor condition. So the first one is Dr. Weaver's condition, like the halitosis condition, the CLMBP1. That's the Dutch pronunciation. Then you have the TMAU test, the urine and the genetic test. They do it both at once. And they have another test that's just called malodor condition. And I've emailed them a lot, and I've tried calling them, trying to get the specifics on this test. So what are they testing? But they just termed it malodor condition. So I guess they're testing if
Why?
they're not testing positive for the first two. They're trying to find if it might have another cause that's
Right.
causing that malodor condition. But that's interesting as well because they're researching this. Yeah.
Mm. Unfortunately, we can't get that in America. But
Maybe one day. I think they should work together more. And the confusing thing about these tests is that doctors can order them online. So doctors from anywhere in the world can order the test online. But the problem is that because there were a lot of people who went to the website and they tried to order the test, but if you don't have a referral from your doctor and your doctor is not actually ordering the test himself, they're not going to approve it. So it's no use to do that. You have to have a referral from your doctor. But it's a shame though, because I believe if that wasn't a requirement, a lot of people would take that test. It would make it available to a lot of people. It's kind of costly still, but it's at least something, because a lot of people don't have anything, don't have any type of test that they can take. So it's at least something.
right. Well, I think I asked you everything I wanted to ask you. Um, I do want to ask you. Okay, I think I already asked you about the email too. Um, so
Yeah.
let me ask you this. I guess we're winding down here, and I wanted to ask you. Let's say that someone views this video and they say, "Oh, I identify with a lot of what she has to say. I had similar experiences." Is there any final thoughts you would like to give to that person, or any insight you would like to tell the person?
Yeah, well, the first one is great that they're watching, that they found this video, because that's going to give them a lot of recognition that you're not alone out there. There are lots of us out there, and a lot of people managing, living their lives, having families, having relationships, working, really functioning. So it's really possible to have life. And the second thing I would recommend is to really reach out to other people. So become a member of the groups if you can, or maybe they can send you an email. They can send me an email anytime if they want to talk. If they have any questions, you are very welcome to email me. But that interaction is really, really important with people who have the similar symptoms, even if you can form friendships out of there, just to break the isolation a little bit. The third thing I would recommend is not to isolate yourself too much. So even though your family or friends are, telling you, oh, we don't smell anything, or they're acting weird, and they're still inviting you to Christmas parties, dinners, etc., try to go. Make an effort, try to go, even if it's half an hour or an hour. But that social interaction is really, really important for us. So try to make an effort. The fourth one is to take care of your health. So not only your physical health. So these diets are really, really strict sometimes. They can be potentially dangerous if you're avoiding all of these foods, minerals, vitamins, we need them. We can't live without protein. So you have to make a conscious choice sometimes to say, okay, now today I'm not going to stick to my diet. I'm still going to have a little bit of fish or an egg or some protein. Just go for it. Just enjoy the food because you need the minerals and the vitamins. And with regards to the emotional side, the mental health is also a really important part that a lot of people just don't pay any attention to. They just will try to push it away, but you have to work on that because this is a very stressful condition and stress is a trigger for us. So if you can find anything that can help you manage that stress, whether it's meditation or some type of relaxation exercise, or sometimes some people need therapy. I would really recommend them to seek a therapist, try to find somebody who can understand them, that focuses on the mental side of it. So as a result of the physical symptoms, because I believe the treatment shouldn't be focused on the mental symptoms. Like the doctor shouldn't be prescribing antipsychotic medication or antidepressants just to work on those symptoms, but they should try helping people work on managing the anxiety that they have because of the physical symptoms. So when you go to a psychologist, try to explain that you want to work on that. So you want to work on the emotional side, the anxiety and the depression that has occurred, that has risen due to the physical symptoms. And there's a lot that therapists can do with regards to that nowadays. So yeah, I believe that those are the main points that uh, I would recommend everybody.
Okay. Well, I appreciate Chris for
Yeah.
hopping on, doing this international thing. Um, I appreciate all the information you have because it was very, you said a lot of things are very invaluable. And I definitely really want to try to do this, or at least try to compile a list of contact numbers to get from specialists. And maybe something
That would
might
be
come of it
great.
that will inform other people. But this is Friday
Yeah.
night, well, technically Friday afternoon. Body Odor, TMAU, PTAM interview, and we are out.
Okay. Thank